Hello, my tinfoil hat news. This is tinfoil here speaking. This video is not for kids as it is news. There is no cussing or cursing. Um, anyway, it's been a while since my last video. So, good news. The head of the Department of Handling Misinformation or disinformation has resigned. Other things that are coming out. The John Durham report is making progress. We also have many other great things. So in this video, I'll just go over the topics at hand. Currently, inflation is getting higher. A lot of the major issues we've had, food processing plants get destroyed. Now, normally I'd be kind of upset about it, but the question that comes out to mind is the food processing facilities, are they facilities that make food that is genetically modified? If so, this may not be a bad thing. However, it is important that I recommend, if you haven't started a garden, I would start it as soon as possible. You need to start growing your own food. These times are going to be very trialsome. Moving on, with a lot of restrictions, gas has gone up to a very unbelievable amount. It's going to happen with the gas that's going on with diesel. And everyone's like, oh, well, they just increased the price of diesel. And I'm like, okay, well, you got to get stuff shipped across the country. And what do big rigs use? Or I should say rigs use? They use diesel. So, yeah, trucking, we have a major problem. So there's going to be a supply shortage on a lot of stuff. Other things that are coming up right now is a couple bills are passed. Bill passed for, I guess, Ukraine, give them $40 billion. There's been a complaint about the formula shortage. Now the DNC finally is giving a crap about, what's going on with the shortage in baby formula. But as for me, I think this is probably good to breastfeed because there's probably something wrong with the baby formulas, and maybe your kids aren't going to come out they're not going to do well education-wise. They may come out with learning disabilities. I can't really say, with a lot of stuff that's been genetically modified in our country turning out not to be ran by big oil, but by big pharma, we got a serious problem. There was a report where the head of Pfizer had tried to silence James O'Keefe by contacting the head of the CIA and the head of the FBI. And I don't know if anyone understands how bad that is. It's way, way up there with very dangerous. So I'm seeing some positives in all this. Now, I've been reading a lot of stuff, hearing a lot of stuff, and a lot of people I talk to, I have very much, I go out where I'm at, and I don't see a lot of Biden supporters. All I see is Trump supporters. And everyone just, are tired of it. People are like, my wallet was safe, things were better. And what's even funnier is now they're going to try to say, we're going to have a COVID lockdown. But everyone's like, we're not going for this. It's gotten insane. Outside of that, personally, dating apps. Right now, I'm very disappointed with the dating app U-Dates. Zoosk is somewhat affordable. Match.com's okay, but U-Dates is expensive. And I'm thinking about covering videos to protect men from bad apps, very expensive apps. Talk about the major issues that are affecting men, such as scammers, where they pose as hot women, send nude pictures, try to get the guy to send a nude picture, and then blackmail them, which is getting insane. And Congress isn't doing anything about it. Hell, they're not doing anything about illegals stealing identities. And people are like, well, that's okay. And I'm like, I'm not much of a person on the whole immigration thing, but we should have a wall. And if they want to come to our country, go through the front door. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but we have a right to protect our sovereignty because there are countries out there that want to destroy us that are from the Middle East or from hostile countries like China, and going through our border is the best. A border that has no protection is the best way for them to come in and attack Americans in this country. And as much as you could sit there and say, "Oh, I'm being an a-hole," I'm like, I'm not being a racist, because it has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with national sovereignty. Everyone's like, "What you don't understand?" I'm like, look, we can't take care of the world. The world has to take responsibility for itself. And yeah, we need to know who's coming through our country. Mexico has a wall for people coming up in their country. And it has nothing to do with being aggressive to innocent people. It comes to, if you're coming to this country, I think we need to know who you are. And if you're going to come legally. Don't come here illegally. And the problem is, the Dems have openly saying, we're going to go ahead, and now it's changing to predominantly Hispanic, or changing times. Isn't this great? And it's like, weren't you guys complaining? Weren't the Dems complaining about gentrification when white people move into the neighborhood? I'm kind of confused. It's a very interesting thing. When you talk about replacing a population, that's gonna equal war, and we can't be having wars. It hurts people on both sides. But this ideology of replacing people or replacing groups is bad. It's bad enough alone in America, where you have small fringe minority groups have more power than the general public. Case in point, I respect the LGBT, but even the LGBT community is like, this Q and plus stuff is insane. Little kids in middle school would not call this girl by the preferred pronoun, and this girl was bullying him. And so what the school did in Wisconsin was arrest him under Title IX. Title IX is for some serious sexual assault, sexual harassment stuff. It is not for, oh, you misgendered me. I don't know when this is going to stop, but it needs to stop. It comes down to this. You cannot tell people what to say at all. They have a right to their free speech and what they believe in and their thoughts. When you cross that line, you will have a war. And the teachers and these teachers' unions don't get that. Now that everyone's finally, parents have had enough of it, they're coming down fighting. You have teachers in elementary schools that are forcing 5-year-old boys to wear dresses. That right there should be throwing them in prison for sexually grooming a kid. And I know I don't go much on this topic, but wow. And yeah, it's an old topic, but yeah, it's still gaining heat. It's one of those things. Now, as I was going back to my previous topic about dating apps and stuff like that, I have been comparing dating apps, U-Dates to Zoosk, and I could tell you this: do not use U-Dates app. I've had problems loading my picture on there. The other situation is U-Dates doesn't really have anyone that's real. They're very pricey, extremely pricey. Some women are like, why don't you just spend some more coins? And I'm just like, why don't we just go to a cheaper medium, where we don't have to. But instead, it forces you to. And I put up here, do not use U-Dates. They're overpriced. It's too expensive. If you're a guy, do not use it. Women, please do not use this app. If you want to find a decent guy, stop dating the guy that you're trying to look for, because every time you've gone for the same type of guy that you're looking for, you've ended up getting somebody that's left you. You're like, I want him strong, dark, tall, and handsome. And next thing you know, he's having sex with your sister or your best friend, and you got cheated on. I know. And then you're like, where are all the good men? Well, maybe if you just stop, expecting things from men versus expecting things from yourself, you would see things differently. And what's funny is, this is a question, and I'm not hating all women. I respect all the stuff, but I wonder if it's a prime Primal urge, you know, if it's primal, and I'm saying like primal, you know, women are like, don't treat us like objects, and men are like, don't treat us like credit cards. You know, it's not a. It comes down to like mutual respect. If you love somebody, you should love them for who they are, and not be mean. You know, love and respect. You know, has to go. Direction. Men will listen to you if you're respectful towards them, and you don't treat them like citizens. If you've had a friend where, you know, you've been in a bad relationship, but you tell your friend, "Oh, I wish I could date somebody like you," and they've been good to you, but they've been trying to date you, and you said no to them, they're gonna walk away. And if you're that guy, walk away. You don't need that. It's unhealthy. It's dangerous, especially for a guy with your health. Take care of your money. And if you're in a friend situation or a girl puts you in a friend zone, you could stay in the friend zone or you could just leave entirely and do your own thing, you know? And we have that option. Now, I know there's going to be some women out there getting all mad. Well, that's just me. And they're like, no, it's not. It comes down to if you can't supply or give the same amount of energy that men put into trying to impress, then there's an issue. And before you say, well, I put on my nails and all that, well, it's not just skin deep. A lot of women out there need to start looking really deep and in. We've just went through 20 years of unadulterated war. Actually, you know, maybe more than that, probably 3 decades of war. You know, close to 3 decades of war. Iraq and Afghanistan and Syria and stuff like that. And a lot of guys now see things differently. What's really bad is just what's going on. And, you know, there are some good women out there, but they're usually taken. And to those good women out there, if you know a friend that's acts up, she's got her priorities all backwards, like she's going out dating some guy that looks like somebody that's hurting the children or something like that, you need to report her to the police. Or get in her face, or get on her butt. Women, if you want to make men more available to you, and you have a good heart and generally kind, you're going to have to go after friends or people in your group that are just straight up gold diggers. And I say that respectfully, not to be a jerk, but there are people who work and there are people who don't. And there are women who work hard to get a degree. I respect that. But then there are women who are just gold diggers who want to sit on their ass. They can't even cook or clean. And I say, well, I have my body. That's what I bring to the table. And those women don't understand they can easily be replaced. Or better yet, the guy could just say, I'm not interested. A lot of men are going over to Eastern countries because, well, there are some good women in Western countries, but not a whole lot. And I'm not saying that to be mean. It's a sad situation. And it all comes down to is the bad influences, right? There's always been a saying that the women of 1947 are not like the women of 2017. I mean, the women of 2017 are not like the women of 1947. And that's a very big statement. And what it is you got women who are like, oh, I have an OnlyFans. It's perfectly okay. And I'm like, I like the hustle, but you know what's not okay is the guy that you're with, seen it, but now everyone else has seen it. Now it's not mutual to him when you're now community. And it always cracks me up. You women think, well, it doesn't matter. I'm like, yeah, ladies, it does. Your kill count matters because you don't take care of your sexual health. You don't take care of your mental health. You won't admit that you have problems. And it's not me putting you down. It's just there's a stigma amongst women about mental health. And everyone's like, oh, you're just making... No. The stigma is you have people that are faking it. You have people that are stuff. You have women that are complete, utter... that have a narcissistic stage. And then you have their friends who are kind of somewhat in denial of it. And some of those... If you're a friend that... You got a female. If you're a female who has a female friend that's narcissistic, you got to bring in a round table and talk to them. As for men, we have similar situations where we have friends that we have to talk to and be like, hey man, that's not cool. You can't be acting like an ass. Or hey, you shouldn't be saying that because we don't want to be dealing with the police coming in and shooting us, you know. But I'm just here to go ahead and say this. If you really want to get a quality man, you're going to have to become quality. Me, I'm just happy today that I got up. I put on a pair of pants that was, I was able to put on a pair of pants for the first time ever because I went down in size. My waist size has shrunk. And I was like, man, my going to the gym is paying off. Now, I was happy about that. I'm trying to go for a good quality girl, but I have to work on myself to get myself up there. And I got the brains for it, but now it's time for me to get the body for it. I got to work hard for it. I want to bring something to the table. But the situation right now with a lot of these modern women, and there are some good women out there. I'm not going to sit there. If you're one of my female 10 foilers who subscribe to the channel, you are a great person. But you know who I'm talking about. And it's not an issue about me saying, oh, I'm here to get into no. It's about me saying we got to put an end to the gold digging culture. I mean, I'm a guy. I'm trying to put an end to F-boy culture. Those guys who can't hold a job, that have a bunch of kids, that don't pay each other child support. I'm trying to put an end to that. But if I'm doing that for with other men who are trying to stop F-boy culture, I encourage you women on the opposite aisle, stop gold digging culture. Get these people to work. You got a friend who's just sitting there lazy and she's kind of fat and tubby but wants a Greek god. Get her butt to a gym. If she's a selfish, lying, and cheats on her husband, save the husband's life. Get her out of there. Because she needs to be shamed. We're going to have to bring back shaming. I know you don't want to do that. Ooh, it hurts. But if we don't, what are we doing to the kids? Honestly. We have to be adults. So, this video has offended you. Hey, that wasn't the goal, and you missed the point. But this video, I hope, was enlightening. I will have other topics. I did get my computer going. I did get the camera going. I did get it focused well, but so much news has changed fairly quickly. It's kind of hard to keep up. And I do want to talk about some very interesting topics, like the remnants of the Soviet Union that collapsed and how there's still people who are agents or converted agents that are left over, and the current situation with the spread of communism and socialism taking over our country and the dangers of a potential Fourth Reich coming out of the shadows. So there's a lot of stuff. I know I've probably offended some people, but I'm just going to say this. Hey, I'm not going to ever advocate for violence of people because I have an opinion, but I wouldn't sit there and try to kill people I disagree with. It just, there comes a fine line. People have a right to free speech. All right? And I never, ever encourage violence whatsoever. I do encourage that us 10 foilers, men, women, come together and help each other out. Try to be better. I have a lot of things that need to be answered, and I think right now we're getting a lot of BS from our government. I'm really surprised that our government has trying to go in 1984. And what it feels like is everything that they claimed Donald Trump to be, turns out they were projecting themselves on Donald Trump. Turns out this administration is the one that's doing it. And I know there's going to be some people out there who say, well, you don't understand. I'm like, if you have to make up words to win an argument, I'm going to tell you this. You're going to lose. And Dave Chappelle said it best. We're now finding out that Twitter had a bunch of fake bots. We're finding out that social media had a bunch of fake bots. I think right now Zuckerberg and the tech industry is... social media platforms are about to change, especially if they've been lying about who they have on there. And if they have been lying, they're going to be facing the wrath of the Securities Exchange Commission. And when the Securities Exchange Commission, or SEC, comes in, shareholders are going to be suing these tech companies for censorship and all this other stuff. So until then, Be good, be kind, be nice to each other. Don't do evil, don't do violence, and don't commit a crime. Do things the legal way. We're tinfoilers. We're about having the conversation and being honest. And be good to one another, for God's sake. All right? If you want a good relationship with a good man, then be a good woman. Be a good adult woman, not a child. And the same goes for men. You want to have a good woman? You have to be a good man. Not a nice man, a good man. Not a nice woman, a good woman. A person of good heart, whose actions speak louder than words. Till then, tinfoil out. Like, share, subscribe.